The Yemeni Journalist Syndicate has documented many violations of press freedom in the country. Those violations range from arbitrary detentions to physical assaults and threats. The following report has more details.
The United Nations General Assembly declared November 2nd as the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists in December 2013. EU is actively engaged in protecting journalists' independence and safety. However, an increasing number of attacks and threats against journalists have been documented and reported in recent years. In Yemen, journalists suffer a bitter reality and a real disaster as a result of the lack of respect for freedom of expression. Since the Houthi coup, the situation became more complicated for journalists due to the iron grip of the Houthi group in its dealings with the media, which amounted to forcing them to publish propaganda that incites war. The U.S. Ambassador to Yemen, Stephen Fagan, added that he honors those who work in difficult conditions to ensure the public has access to accurate information. Yemeni journalists are being targeted by everyone and have enemies who are sparing no effort to attack them in an attempt to force them to remain silent. In an honor of International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists, the Yemeni Journalist Syndicate Int'L held a meeting for them in the governorate. In the meeting, which aims to protect journalists and prevent perpetrators of crimes against them from going unpunished, 3 working papers were presented that included statistics on the number of violations committed against journalists, in addition to the professional and economic rights of them.
51 جريمة قتل استهدفت الصحفيين من قبل الميليشيات.
The Houthis have committed about 51 violations against journalists. In addition to 4 journalists sentenced to death, they kidnap journalists and prevent them from seeing the families, and it is still not enough for them.
The various powers and groups in Yemen have realized the influence of journalists. Their fear of journalists runs so deep, to an extent that they are sentenced to death or killed. The safety of journalists is essential to the civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights of us all. And in the context of armed conflict, they play a vital role in uncovering the truth and holding the parties to the conflict to account publicly. Even though journalists in Yemen continue to suffer, they still hope for a better future.